What if Levi chose Erwin over Armin in the Return to Shiganshina arc? After the battle, Levi stood with 1 Titan serum and 2 dying soldiers, Commander Erwin Smith and Armin Arlert. He could only save 1. In canon, Levi chose Armin, letting Erwin finally rest. But what if he injected Erwin instead? Saving the experienced commander could prevent the rumbling through superior strategy, but Armin's death might break Eren so badly he accelerates the apocalypse instead. How does one battlefield choice cascade into either saving or destroying the entire world? Stick around to see how Erwin's survival rewrites Attack on Titan's endgame. The Return to Shiganshina arc ends with Captain Levi holding a single Titan serum and 2 dying soldiers, Commander Erwin Smith and Armin Arlert. Erwin got demolished by a rock to his abdomen during a suicide charge against the Beast Titan. Armin got roasted alive by the Colossal Titan's steam. Levi can only save 1. In canon, he chose Armin. But what if Levi chose Erwin instead? The Battle of Shiganshina was the Survey Corps getting absolutely destroyed. They went to reclaim Wall Maria and walked into an ambush by 3 Titan shifters. The Colossal Titan exploded into the district. The Armored Titan brawled with Eren. The Beast Titan played baseball with rocks and human bodies as ammunition. Imagine getting killed by a giant monkey with a pitcher's arm, except the baseballs are boulders. Almost the entire regiment got wiped out in minutes. Erwin's final moments were spent convincing soldiers to charge towards certain death, so Levi could sneak attack the Beast Titan. He gave a speech about meaningless deaths becoming meaningful, then led the charge while missing his right arm from a previous Titan bite. A rock tore through his left hip and abdomen. Should have died instantly, but stayed barely alive through pure stubborn refusal to die before learning the basement truth. Armin volunteered as bait against Bertholdt, despite knowing the Colossal Titan generates enough heat to incinerate people. He got scorched by steam while hanging onto the Colossal Titan, his final thought being about the ocean he promised to see with Eren and Mikasa. Then he fell 50 to 60 meters onto a rooftop, body burned like overcooked chicken, outer skin charred but organs barely intact. Eren successfully pulled Bertholdt out during the distraction. The plan worked, but Armin was dying. Levi found barely breathing Armin and prepared the Titan Serum Injection, MIST. Standard procedure where dying person transforms into mindless Titan, eats a shifter, gains their power. Eren sobbed uncontrollably, begging Levi to save his best friend. Then Flock showed up carrying Erwin's body, also barely alive. Suddenly, Levi faced an impossible choice between his commander and a 16-year-old genius. The Serum Bowl scene is one of anime's most heartbreaking moments. Flock begged Levi to save humanity's commander. Eren and Mikasa argued desperately for Armin. Not oblige. He's brilliant, discovered Annie's identity, saved Trost with strategies, has dreams about the ocean. Flock countered with cold logic. Erwin led them to countless victories. Humanity needs their devil commander. Personal feelings don't matter for species survival. Levi prepared to inject Erwin because militarily, it made sense. Then Erwin raised his hand in delirium and murmured, "Teacher, how do we know there isn't any humanity outside the walls?" This was young Erwin's question to his father, the obsession that defined his entire life. His hand accidentally knocked the syringe away. Levi remembered Kenny's dying words about everyone being a slave to something: alcohol, women, religion, dreams. In canon, Levi realized Erwin's dream was his poison. Bringing him back would drag him back to hell, so Levi chose Armin instead, letting Erwin rest. In this timeline, Levi interprets that moment differently. Maybe he sees it as Erwin still fighting for his dream. Maybe Flock's argument hits harder. Maybe Levi can't let Erwin die after everything. Whatever the reason, Levi injects Erwin despite Eren's screaming protests. Erwin transforms into a mindless Titan 15 meters tall, shambling toward Bertholdt with that creepy Titan enthusiasm for eating humans. The Erwin Titan grabs Bertholdt and consumes him. Steam erupts as Erwin inherits the Colossal Titan's power and returns to human form, unconscious, but alive. Armin's burned corpse cools nearby, dead at 16, never seeing the ocean. The choice is irreversible. Eren's reaction is immediate psychological collapse. He's screaming, trying to reach Armin's body, being physically restrained by Mikasa. His childhood friend who understood him better than anyone is permanently gone. This is the same kid whose personality got defined by watching his mom get eaten, who has rage issues when people he loves die. Losing Armin shatters what little stability Eren had left. Mikasa handles grief with stoic exterior, but you can see it cracking. She restrains Eren, who's having a complete breakdown. She doesn't argue with Levi's choice because it's irreversible, and Mikasa is pragmatic about unchangeable situations, trauma response from watching her parents get murdered. But she'll remember this forever. The fracture in their group won't heal. Erwin wakes up hours later facing catastrophic problems. He's now the colossal titan, terrible for a strategic commander who needs to observe battles and give orders. He has Bertholdt's traumatic memories flooding his brain, guilt over destroying Wall Maria and killing thousands. He learns Armin died so he could live. Brilliant 16-year-old sacrificed for a guilt-ridden commander, ready to die heroically. And they're about to reach the basement, fulfilling his lifelong obsession and leaving him with zero purpose. The survivor's guilt crushes Erwin immediately. In canon, Levi let Erwin rest. In this timeline, Levi dragged him back and forced him to keep living with more weight. Erwin might physically lash out at Levi when he wakes, not from anger but grief and betrayal at being forced to survive. Their friendship takes serious damage because Erwin told Levi he had no plans after the basement. Levi heard that and brought him back anyway. The Survey Corps fractures over this decision. Some believe experience mattered most. Erwin's battle-tested and led them through impossible situations. Others think Armin deserved to live, younger, more potential, already proved his brilliance. The debate continues for months because there's no objective right answer. Both options were tragic. Hanji takes it particularly hard. In canon, they became commander after Erwin died, which terrified them but was necessary. In this timeline, Erwin lives and remains commander, while Hanji stays squad leader. That's probably a relief since Hanji never wanted that responsibility, but it creates awkward dynamics where Erwin leads knowing a brilliant kid died just so he could keep giving orders that might kill more soldiers. The basement reveals everything. Humanity exists beyond walls. Marley is their enemy. Titans are weaponized. Eldians, their people are considered devils worldwide. Grisha's journals confirm it all. Erwin's father was completely right. The lifelong dream is fulfilled. Now Erwin has to figure out his life's purpose when the obsession that defined him just got checked off. He's got survivor's guilt, unwanted colossal titan power, Bertholdt's memories, and enemies are now entire technologically advanced nations instead of mindless monsters. Worst lottery ever. The immediate impact is devastating for everyone. Eren becomes emotionally unstable without Armin's moderating influence. Mikasa withdraws further into protective mode. Levi questions whether he made the right choice. Erwin struggles with commanding while carrying impossible guilt. And they all have to process this, while learning the world is bigger and more hostile than they ever imagined. The basement truth that should have been a victory moment becomes tainted by the sacrifice it took to get there. If you're enjoying the video so far, subscribe to our channel. Erwin's survival fundamentally changes. Attack on Titan's final arcs. His strategic brilliance prevents catastrophic decisions that Hanji made out of idealism. The rumbling might never happen, or if it does, it's controlled deterrent rather than global genocide. But there's a catch. Armin's death emotionally shatters Eren in ways that could accelerate everything instead. 1 year passes after the basement revelation, before the first Marleyan ships arrive at Paradis in year 851. Among the crew is Yelena and the anti-Marleyan volunteers, who claim they want to help Paradis against their common enemy Marley. In canon, Hanji, as the new commander, trusted Yelena too quickly, got excited about the new technology and equipment, and didn't find the whole situation suspicious enough. Hanji prioritized peaceful solutions over harsh pragmatism because she felt guilty about Erwin's sacrifices and didn't want more bloodshed. This idealism got exploited hard. Yelena was a manipulative fanatic devoted to Zeke, who played Hanji like a fiddle. She presented the volunteers as freedom fighters, but was really facilitating Zeke's secret plan: use the founding titan to sterilize all Eldians so they'd peacefully go extinct. The decoy plan Zeke told them about was using a partial rumbling as a military deterrent to keep the world scared, while Paradis lived out their final generation. Yelena operated with too much freedom under Honga's watch and poisoned the military leadership's wine with Zeke's spinal fluid, which completely paralyzed Paradis's command structure when they needed it most. Erwin wouldn't make these mistakes. He'd be immediately suspicious of any outside group presenting themselves as convenient allies. His intelligence network would work to uncover their true motives from day one, rather than taking promises at face value. Erwin would keep Yelena and the volunteers on an extremely short leash, with constant surveillance. He's the same commander who was willing to sacrifice his soldiers repeatedly for strategic gains. Trusting enemy defectors without verification isn't in his playbook. The spinal fluid poisoning plot would have been nearly impossible under Erwin's controlled watch. Within months of meeting Yelena, Erwin would likely develop a multi-nation alliance strategy against Marley. He could offer Paradis's iceburst stone resources and limited Titan assistance to the Middle East nations currently at war with Marley in exchange for diplomatic recognition. Hizuru already showed interest in working with Paradis, so that's one ally secure. An alliance with Marley's enemies would be logical. The enemy of my enemy is my temporary friend until I don't need them. Classic Erwin thing. Using the threat of the rumbling as a deterrent without actually executing it would give Paradis negotiating power. The colossal Titan power changes Erwin's strategic options significantly. He could control the transformation blast size for precision demolitions of military targets. The scalding steam emission works defensively to protect his troops or force enemies to disengage. Most important, he'd coordinate the colossal Titan with survey corps tactics, use his massive size as distraction while Levi and others attack from different angles. Erwin combining his tactical genius with potentially the most destructive Titan power creates a weapon that's actually wielded intelligently instead of just being a nuclear option. But here's where Armin's death creates a massive problem that might ruin everything flesh. Eren. In canon, Eren gradually went rogue after kissing Historia's hand at the medal ceremony. That physical contact with royal blood unlocked his father's memories, including visions of his own future, rumbling plan. From that moment in year 850, Eren knew what he was going to do. He spent 3 years testing whether the future was inevitable, even visiting Marley diplomatically with the Survey Corps, hoping for peaceful solutions. When that failed, he resigned himself to fate and launched his attack on Liberio during Willy Tiber's festival in year 854. In this timeline, Eren doesn't have Armin's moderating influence during those crucial 3 years. Armin in canon tried repeatedly to understand and negotiate with Eren after the Liberio attack. He confronted Eren in Shiganshina, where Eren cruelly said Armin was being influenced by Bertolt's memories, and that he'd always hated Mikasa. When Armin tried to punch him, Eren easily overpowered him. All of Armin's attempts to reach Eren failed, but at least he tried. At least there was someone attempting diplomacy. Without Armin, Eren's descent into isolation happens faster and harder. His childhood friend who first showed him the book about the outside world is dead. The person who understood his desire for freedom is gone. Mikasa is there, but she's overprotective rather than intellectually engaging. Eren becomes more emotionally unstable, potentially acting on his rumbling visions earlier out of grief and rage, rather than calculated inevitability. This is terrible timing because Erwin needs those 3 years to establish diplomatic solutions. 2 scenarios play out depending on whether Erwin can manage Eren's emotional breakdown. In the first scenario, Erwin's stronger personality and commanding presence keeps Eren somewhat in check. Eren deeply respected Erwin's leadership and strategic ability in the earlier seasons. With Erwin still in command and actively working on solutions, Eren might remain a loyal subordinate rather than going rogue. Erwin would immediately question Eren about his increasingly strange behavior after the hand-kissing. If Eren revealed his future memories, Erwin would treat it as actionable intelligence rather than inevitable fate, and adjust strategies accordingly. Erwin wouldn't let Eren operate without oversight for 3 years like Hange. He'd keep Eren close, use him as a military asset, and constantly monitor his mental state. If Eren tried to leave for Marley alone, Erwin would stop him, or at minimum send backup. The Liberio attack might not happen at all if Erwin's diplomatic solutions show promise. And if Eren insisted on the rumbling despite Erwin having a workable plan, Erwin wouldn't hesitate to order the Survey Corps to restrain or even kill Eren before he could activate. That sounds brutal, but Erwin literally sent soldiers on suicide charges. He makes hard calls. In the second scenario, Armin's death breaks Eren so completely that he accelerates the rumbling timeline. Eren might attack Marley even earlier, within the first year after learning the truth, before Erwin can establish any diplomatic framework. An emotionally shattered Eren with future memories and no moderating influence is a ticking time bomb. He becomes overprotective of Mikasa as his only remaining childhood connection. But that protective instinct could translate to, "I'll destroy the world so she can be safe," rather than listening to reason. Erwin would have to manage a rogue founding Titan who's having a psychological crisis while simultaneously trying to prevent global war. Even Erwin's genius has limits when dealing with a traumatized teenager with godlike powers and visions of the future. He might use Eren's attachment to Mikasa as leverage. 9. Remind Eren that starting the rumbling leaves Mikasa completely alone with no one to protect her. That emotional manipulation could delay Eren's plans but might not stop them entirely. The Jaegerist faction probably doesn't form under Erwin's command because Floch and others who felt betrayed by Erwin's death have no reason to rebel. Erwin's military control remains intact. Historia doesn't become pregnant as a bargaining chip because Erwin handles the royal blood situation differently. The military doesn't get infected with spinal flu. Paradise's internal stability stays mostly intact, which is crucial for implementing any long-term strategy. If Erwin successfully prevents or delays the rumbling through diplomatic means, Paradise gets recognized by at least some nations as a legitimate state. Marley gets weakened through their ongoing war. The cycle of hatred doesn't accelerate into genocide. Erwin uses the rumbling threat as nuclear deterrent rather than actual execution. We have this weapon and will use it if attacked, but we're willing to negotiate. That's basically Cold War logic applied to Titan. But the bitter irony remains. Levi chose Armin in canon to let Erwin rest from his hell. Choosing Erwin might prevent apocalypse through superior strategy and leadership. But it condemns Erwin to lead in an era with no right answer, forces him to live with Armin's death on his conscience, and might break Eren in ways that make everything worse anyway. The choice between experience and potential becomes the choice between calculated pragmatism and emotional devastation. Either way, someone brilliant dies, and the world suffers consequences. That's Attack on Titan in a nutshell. There are no good options, only degrees of tragedy. If you want more videos like these, subscribe to our channel, and I'll see you in the next one.